This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below. You know, going into this game all week, I assumed that I would be thinking that the Browns should attack this game in one way. But then I get into the prep for the game, and now I've completely changed how I feel like the Browns should attack this game. See, when I look at this matchup on paper, you see two great defenses. You see an MVP candidate in Lamar Jackson, and you see an offense in the Cleveland Browns that's trying to really figure it out at this point, right? And a lot of people have come into this game thinking the same thing I thought week 4 when they played this team. You want to be patient. You want to take what's there. You want to just nickel and dime this Ravens defense. You want to be patient on the other side of the ball. But then I watched this Ravens team play against patient offenses and defenses and absolutely destroy them. All right, we can go through the list of Baltimore Ravens games this year. They destroyed the Texans. At that point, I don't even think the Texans knew who they were. The Cincinnati Bengals, 27-24. They win that game, but they give up 24 points. It's one of their highest point totals of the year that they've given up. And the Bengals were fairly aggressive in that game, at least on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, they were passive. They gave a good defense in Cincinnati, gave up 27 points. We look at the Colts, who got 22 up on the Ravens and got 19, held the Ravens to 19 points. They won that game. Now, a lot of that had to do with weather, but another element of that is that Shane Steichen is very aggressive. He's aggressive. That's a very aggressive Colts team on both sides of the ball, and they were able to take advantage, right? The Browns, 28-3, came out with a very passive game plan on both sides of the ball, got demolished. DTR play, that didn't help anything. Pittsburgh was aggressive. They beat them 17-10. The Titans were the Titans are mildly aggressive, even on their secondary back end stuff. They're not. 24-16. The Lions came in. You would think they would be aggressive. You go back, watch that game. They weren't very aggressive, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Walked out with 6 points, gave up 38. Say same thing about the Seahawks, and the Cardinals put up 24 on them. That's another aggressive team. I think they want you to think that you should be passive against Baltimore. I think the way to go about playing Baltimore, and it's going to sound crazy to some people, especially what we've been hearing from people about this game is, oh, we should be patient. We should be patient. We should be patient. And that's what I was thinking coming into this week. I think the opposite is true. I think you make Baltimore more nervous when you're aggressive. I think this week on both sides of the ball, this Browns team needs to be aggressive. If they come in here and play passive and, throw short routes and just take what's there and, let the game go along at the pace that Baltimore wants it to, Baltimore is going to out-physical them. They're going to outlast them, and they're going to pull apart in that fourth quarter like they usually do. They don't want you to be aggressive. They are dead set on trying to fool you into not being aggressive. That's for a reason. It's because they don't want you to be aggressive. Like if you are aggressive, I think you can stress this defense out a little bit. Because if you look at this roster, where are the Ravens the weakest at? It's in their secondary. Now their secondary has been playing well. Why? Because teams have been passive against them. They blitz a ton of linebackers. They blitz a ton of corners. That's a team that does not want you to get aggressive, because once you start to get aggressive, you can get big chunk plays on them. If you look at the Ravens, their big Achilles heel on the other side of the ball with Lamar Jackson, they turn the ball over. They fumble a lot. They don't want you to be aggressive on that side. They want you to let Lamar get comfortable in the pocket, let him get comfortable scrambling, let him have time to think back there. They want that. What they don't want is they don't want aggression on that side of the ball. I think you need to give it to them. Now, look, it could bite you in the ass. You could be aggressive, and they could beat you. But if you go out aggressive, I think you have a better chance of winning this game than going out there and playing very passive. So that's my number one bold prediction. The Browns are going to be aggressive in this game on both sides of the ball. If you think about it like a game, let's think about it like a board game. The Ravens want to play chess. The Browns are at their best when they're playing checkers, especially on the defensive side of the ball. If the Ravens force the Browns to play chess, they're not going to be able to win that game. But if the Browns force the Ravens to play checkers, they have a shot. And what I mean by that is this Browns defense is not complicated. They're at their worst the more complicated they try to make things. They're a very simple defense. We get pressure, we cover. If you can't get rid of this ball in 3 seconds, it's not going to go nowhere. So it don't even matter that we in man coverage. We're not going to give you any air to throw the ball early. We'll sacrifice potentially a double move or getting beat deep to make sure that we can cover something early because we feel like we can get pressure. We're not a team that is okay not getting pressure or is okay sacrificing the pressure because we feel so good about our coverage on the back end. This is an aggressive team. The Baltimore Ravens, on the other hand, they want to play chess. They want to kind of get you out of pressuring that offensive line because they don't feel great about that. They want you to allow these receivers to get stuff early because their receivers aren't very good. They want you to put them in a constant position to allow their weaknesses to get away with what their weakness is. This is a bad wide receiver team. What do you do with teams that do not have good receivers? You press them. You don't let them off the line of scrimmage. You take them off timing. You play man coverage on them. You don't give them stuff easy. You don't allow them to get rhythm. Because you're less worried about somebody beating you on a double move in this receiving room or somebody just beating your corner just straight up. You're not as worried about that against Baltimore. You're more worried about letting somebody get into a soft spot in the zone. So just don't let it happen. I understand there's parts where you're going to have to play zone. But again, this goes into the overall mindset. Aggression. Force the Baltimore Ravens offense to play checkers, not chess. If you allow them to sit back and make their little moves and move their pawns up and down the field, well, they're going to checkmate you pretty fast because you're not good at chess. But if you turn this into a game of checkers where it's just one piece off the board and another piece off the board and another piece off the board, then they can't do their pre-planned strategies and try to attack. And next thing you know, they're a little flustered. And then you can attack on a big mistake. That's how you play the Baltimore Ravens, in my opinion. It's going to be about aggression. It's going to be about forcing that team to play your game. I think that this is a good week to be aggressive. I know people are going to be like, hey, man, they beat you on some counter stuff last time you played. They beat you on some fake stuff and all that, and you didn't tackle that well. Well, one, DTR was in. They didn't have no hope on offensive side of the ball. I think that affects how you tackle. Two, it was their first time playing this Baltimore Ravens offense. Now it's their second time. So you want to be more aggressive because now you feel like you know what to look for when they fake you. You've been not just looking at that Baltimore tape for this Baltimore game. You've been looking at that Baltimore tape since it happened because they were one of the teams to get you early. So you've been looking at those plays that they got on you all year. You know better now. You know when to go downhill. You got to trust your instincts this week. If the Browns come out aggressive and trust their instincts this week, they will have sacks, they will have pressures, they will have tackles for loss. They might even get a couple turnovers because, again, Baltimore will turn the ball over if you put the pressure on them. Lamar Jackson fumbles the ball a lot. Lamar Jackson's not the most secure guy with the football in general. You can get him to fumble in the pocket. You can get a strip sack on him pretty easy. You can get him to fumble when he's running. He's not very secure with the football, but you got to be aggressive. You can't be afraid to be aggressive. You can't be afraid to miss a tackle. You just got to be willing to be aggressive this week. If you are, you have a shot. If you aren't, they're going to play chess and they're going to checkmate you. That's the game. That's the game. The Browns, it's a very simple game plan for them. You want to get pressure with your front four. If you can get pressure with those guys, because you know they're going to have a running back on Miles. They're going to turn that guard on Miles. You know you're going to have 3 heads on Myles Garrett, which means 1-on-1 for Dalvin Tomlinson, 1-on-1 for Maurice Hurst, 1-on-1 for Zadarius Smith. Take advantage of those opportunities. If you win those opportunities, if you take advantage and you finish those opportunities, which has been a big problem for this Browns team, they got to finish some plays here. I think you're going to be able to slow them down and frustrate them to the point that that Pittsburgh frustrate them. Everybody talks about in that game against Pittsburgh that Baltimore had drop passes, and that's the only reason that Baltimore didn't win that game. But why do those drop passes occur for the Baltimore Ravens? And when do they occur more often? They occur more often when teams are aggressive with them, because that flusters them a little bit. That takes them out of their rhythm. Again, the Baltimore Ravens like to play chess. If you stop playing chess with them and make them play checkers, they get less comfortable and they make a lot more mistakes. That's how you get the Baltimore Ravens this week. You can't be sitting back letting them play chess on you. They will beat you. You got to force them into a game of checkers. I think everybody goes into it and they fall for that trap that Mike McDonald wants everybody to fall for. Oh, yeah, we should be super patient versus this and let them break and all that. No. Mike McDonald doesn't want you to be aggressive because he knows that that's where you can hurt him. And it's the case for Deshaun this week. I know a lot of people. I've been saying it. I thought I was going to say it, right? Come out here and say, hey, Deshaun, you got to be patient. You got to wait for things to happen. But what we learned in that game versus DTR is that there's just going to be no easy throws versus the Baltimore Ravens. You're just going to have to go downfield and take some shots. This is not a game where you can win at the quarterback position with the training wheels on. You're going to have to lace them up, make some big ball throws, right? You want to fit into some windows. You want to throw that thing 8 to 10 times downfield, which is another prediction. You have to throw some screens to try to crease them horizontally, and then you're going to have to run this thing up the middle. There is no passive game plan that works versus this Baltimore Ravens defense. You have to be aggressive. Take your shots. Run your trick plays. Run your screens. Run it up the middle. Do not have time. Do not give them time to think. Take them out of their game. Be aggressive. Catch them off guard. Disorient them. Because when you do that, they make mistakes. They don't want teams to be aggressive with them. Look at every patient offense that came in there. Got destroyed by that defense. They don't want you to be aggressive for a reason, because that works. They want you to be passive. Think about how many coverage players they blitz. Those guys come from somewhere. They're not coming from the first 5 yards on the field. They're usually coming from the back end, which means that's where they're vulnerable, on the second level, deep to intermediate, well, intermediate to deep. They're not going to give you much behind the line of scrimmage. They're not going to give you much at the line of scrimmage. But you can crease them deep. You can crease them up the seam, because they're going to blitz Pat. They're going to blitz Pat Queen. They're going to blitz. What's the other linebacker they got from New England? Y'all tell me in the comments below. Calvin Noy, that's who it was. They're going to blitz their linebackers. They don't have great edge rushers. They can't just sit back and let you play and just rush with 4 and get pressure that way. They have to blitz, which means you have to be aggressive. Answer their aggression with more aggression. That's the game plan. I know everybody this week's going to talk about being passive. I know everybody this week's going to talk about not wanting to be aggressive, not wanting to wake them up, not wanting to, no. This is the week to be aggressive. This is your second time playing them. You've looked at that film all year. You know what to do. It's time to be aggressive. Because you know what every team has said going into playing the Baltimore Ravens this year? Let's be passive. Let's not try to take too many shots. Let's start the game out slow. And every team who's done that approach has gotten their butts kicked. This is a week to be aggressive on both sides of the football. That's my bold prediction. The Browns must be aggressive on both sides to win. That's my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Y'all have a great day. Have an even better night.